titled From Classic to Chic, Valentine's Day with American Floral Trends 2025-2026, featuring FTD Education Consultant and American Floral Trends Creative Director, Keith White, AIFD. As a quick housekeeping note, Keith will be taking questions throughout the show. If you have a question, please type it in the question box on your control panel. In the handout section of your control panel, you can download a PDF for each trend with the color swatches. And I'll also share a link in the chat to the American Floral Trends 2025-2026 website, where you can find more info and inspiration. Okay, let's get started. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you so much, Janet, and welcome to the American Floral Trends 25-26. When we're developing the true aspect of American floral trends for the floral industry, it's not only made up of just myself being creative director, but a whole collaboration of some of the top industry leaders and designers. So it takes many, many months to do the research and development with American Floral Trends. As we've, I'm giving you 2026 right now for Valentine's. We've already started working on 27, 28, if you can believe it. I just jumped from just like Christmas, now we're talking Valentine's, but it's still fall. Where are we in the floral industry? Well, we're moving forward, I have to say today. And I have some marketing tips, mechanics tips, of course, color tips, which is the most important part of American Floral Trends. And the American Floral Trends, if you're not familiar with it, you can go on to the website, AmericanFloralTrends.com. There's a flip book there that you can flip through each one of the trends gives you all the color palettes, and also gives you some inspiration to many designs per trend, and also the elements that might be added in for inspiration or into your design work itself. So it's a great opportunity to keep reviewing that flip book. This summer, Texas State Florists Association, I was able to present this program at their expo here in Houston. And they were able to print what is called, we call the pocket palette. So those are printed materials, but as a quick referencing always, look at the website and go through the flip book. And of course, with FTD University, you'll be able to see other programs or other webinars that I've done, and including other designers on the FTD team that have done infusions of these colors throughout the year. And so it's with great pleasure, again, to be coming from Breen's Florist here in Houston, Texas, that have opened their doors over the past 30 years to me. And so thank you, Breen's Florist, for having me in again today, and I want to say all week so far, developing designs. So to start out with American Floral Trends, there are 5 trends, and the first one is all based off of the term embrace. And with embrace, we want to look at each one of the trends, and we also keyed it with one of the earth elements. So this one is the fire element. And when you think about fire and those colorations that are involved with embrace, and the meaning behind embrace, that you want to feel things that are nostalgic, that are people surround themselves with, what feels good. And those things are not only brought to you by American Floral Trends, but also I brought in a friend of mine gave me these, and happy birthday, by the way. But I brought these products in. It's Fortnum and Mason, the biscuits and the tea. And when you look at what consumerism is and the research and development that goes into the color palettes for each one of these trends, it's what consumers are seeing out on the shelf today. So these are just an example. Yes, they might be add-ons for your Valentine's, but I wanted to get the point across that the consumers are more and more savvy with color, and aware of color. And that's where I see a little bit of fault happening throughout the floral industry is combinations of colors. So if you look at American Floral Trends, the colors are basically given to you for each one of those trends. So with Embrace, we want to look at an array of colors that we have here on the side block. All the colors are here. There's 6 per trend. And we have the tangerine, we have the ice blue, we have olive bright, we have hyacinth, we have, people are calling this already the color for 2026, but one of the marketing groups has already tagged this. One of the paint colors even said Pacific Blue, even though it's a different name, is the color of the century. So think of this maybe as a long-term color. And people are always drawn to yellow, the frenziness, the excitement, the joy that yellow can bring. But when you're doing color combinations with the different colors, I left this can of spray paint up here, the color tool from Design Master. All the colors are developed off of our floral color palettes with Design Master. These colors on the cards are actually the exact color. They're hand painted by Gretchen Zell with Design Master, and I work very closely with her on those color palettes. So with Design Master, you have to think, and just like paint colors of the year, those are flat colors, but we're working with nature and how nature has a tendency to go from tint tone shades. It's not that perfect flat color. And even with the spray colors, just for flowers, you might want to tint something or give it a hint of pink or a hint of the brighter greens. So looking at the color palettes for Valentine's, I decided to go ahead and use a couple of the key colors, omit the ice blue and tangerine at the moment. You still can use them. I showed those at Christmas time. And so the colors I chose today have an influence of grandeur, but here's the orange, the lavenders, all brought together in ribbons. Ribbons or fabrics are another thing in sourcing that we do with American Floral Trends. It's the fashion industry that dictates a lot of the colors or even patterns that are in the floral world today. So we rely on Dee Stevens for a lot of those fabrics or colorations that might be brought in to each one of the trends. But to start with the first design, I want to show you something very, very simple. But when you look at the meaning of flowers and you look at the bright yellow, and y'all are probably going, yellow? This is Valentine's. We want to see red. Hold on, that'll be later. And so with the yellow color brought in and also the Pacific blue is used in the container here. And hopefully you can see the container with the yellow. I brought in one little card on this one. And where does love start? Friendship. So the meaning of flowers is kind of plays a really role. You know, I call myself Curious George. I have to know every little bit about every little thing. So if you take the time to study, do research and development on products or colors, that yellow roses mean friendship. So let's start with friendship. We jump to love in red colors. So this is just a little example of pulling two of the trend colors from Embrace together, the Pacific blue and the yellow brought together. These are the beautiful Beatrice garden roses along with 3 little stems of the garden spray roses in yellow. And it's just a nice little hint. And don't negate some things like this for Valentine's when you're producing, when you're marketing. Do a friendship bouquet. Does everything have to have love with a balloon and a teddy bear at this point? So again, it's something, and throughout the webinar today, I want you to consider all options that are available to you, and really think out. I go way outside the box, think outside just the triangle itself and there. So a nice little friendship bouquet. And then when you're looking at other colors that can be played into action, hyacinth, purple sells. It's a given. Daily orders, Valentine's, of course, but throughout the year. So when you're developing designs for Valentine's, you want to think, yes, pleasing to the eye colors, colors that are given that consumers want. I don't know how many people have walked through here today and even at the end of the day yesterday, and they're like, is that for sale? And I'm like, we can make you one just like it. So again, they sell this very, very well here at Breen's. But looking at the coloration, the hyacinth color, I pulled stock into the design. And then for the olive bright, I brought in just a little bit of the bells of Ireland. And so with this design in a ceramic style vase, and it's tapered, the styling of it, but a nice substantial vase that holds a good amount of water. And that's one of the things too with consumers. Choose containers that are going to have a substantial amount of water, because guess what? I'm probably the worst about watering my own flowers at home. So just think about consumers that when this arrives, that it has plenty of water. And of course, stock drinks a lot of water. So combining recipes into your design work, if you're asking, God, how much is that? Does it cost? Well, everybody has a different overhead costing factors within it, but make sure you allow ample amount for your labor costing, even in production work during the holiday time. This particular bouquet, just as a recipe goes, it has 20 stalks, so that's 2 bunches. It has a dozen of the cool water roses in it, and 5 bells, and 5 stems of astringent in it, 3 stems of the Dusty Miller. So you want to make sure you recipe items out for production, things that you're going to show on your website, and then you'll be able to be profitable if you keep to those recipes and you keep everything in line, and you can produce more than one at a time, which is the amazing thing, you know, for the holidays or even throughout daily work, is to make something that's going to be so popular that you're not making just one, making another, that you can continue on making groupings and selections of more than one of these items brought together. So with this, you're probably asking also, I just wanted to give you a quick example of mechanics. People today are saying foam, no foam, wire, no wire. So when you have, I always think it depends on the container itself. So the purple luster container that the arrangements are done in, it has a different shape. It's tapered towards the top. So I literally put in a little bit of the upholstery mesh, and I wanted just to say wire mesh, but with Oasis, if you order wire mesh, it's going to be a gold. So this is the coated upholstery mesh that's brought inside of this container. Just a little bit goes a long way. And I want to say, as a kid growing up, when my mom used to receive flowers, they were all done. This is pre-floral foam days, I guess. So it's not anything new, but it's, again, that sustainability that people are looking at in order to maybe be a little bit more earth friendly. But check out some of the new foam that Oasis has just now introduced into the marketplace. So again, mechanics are the key in order to make all those deliveries on Valentine's Day. Make sure your mechanics are secure. So with Embrace, I want you to think about friendship, and I want you to think about very close-knit colors that go together. On the next trend, we're going to look at Whisper. And with Whisper is a very, very soft palette. When we're studying fabrics and studying things, we want to look at the sheerness of products. And with the fashion industry, I saw so many sheer dresses that were in vogue and on the runway, but they were always layered with another underneath fabric. Just like in design work, we want to layer our products together, and layering of floral materials is key when you're doing that type of product. When you're trying to name something or name your designs for your website, I want you to consider, you know, really cool names. But I was thinking, when I was a kid, I still am a kid, and the candy hearts, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Be Mine. So I did a Be Mine bouquet, except the spelling's a little different. B-E-E instead of B-E. And that's because I wanted to incorporate bee ribbon. Elise, you might want to show them that just close up if you can. Look into there and see the bees on the ribbon. So that's where I get inspiration from. What's the ribbon, but also from the heart candy. The combination of materials, soft, gentle, whispering colors. When you look at the colors of Whisper, here you'll see that they're very, very soft, just like a whisper. And so when you're whispering colors, think of herbal, blush, of course. We have a little bit of hyacinth brought in here, ivory colorations. So here's that full tone of color palette right in front of you, brought into the design itself. This is a lush combination, and never, once again, negate your price points. It's amazing that so many people will do, let's say, and I don't even want to use 50, but 50, 75, $100 price point, and they stop. Put 150, put 200, put 250, put 500. Do something crazy for $500 on your website, especially at Valentine's, and see where it goes. My God, if you sell one, terrific. If you sell 10,000, march to the bank quickly. So that's what I mean. Think of the consumer. Don't let the price point scare anybody. They have a selection for everyone that will order, of course. But again, price it accordingly. Get the value that's in there. And once again, container-wise, look at this beautiful container. It's a ceramic with the floral motifs raised on it. And it just really resembles the softness of the hydrangea that's in here. Common flowers, I want to say, like alstroemeria, not so common, the lily itself, but this is a rose lily brought into the design work. And then coming out, fragrant wax flower, a little bit of pittosporum, some dancing ranunculus off to the side, snow on the mountain. And again, the little variegation goes a long way with the snow on the mountain and the pittosporum itself into the design. The hellebores just kind of dangling and flowing out of this design. So the next design up, and this is going to be definitely one of the key items for Valentine's, and I'm sure it's going to travel through the marketplace also for the Mother's Day season, even everyday design work. So here's that container that I showed you the mechanics on. So this one is actually done with upholstery mesh in it. And then you'll have to look at the floral materials that are brought into this design. I have, once again, a rose lily. But now there's a combination of different shades or different tints, literally, because all these are pink and they get softer and softer with the white color. I have a beautiful little rose in here that it's kind of, I mean, you've heard of Eskimo roses, but this is the pink Eskimo. I love this rose. It opens up incredibly fast, but it holds extremely well. The dancing butterfly ranunculus off to the sides gives us a little bit of freedom, a little bit of movement throughout the design itself. Once again, the garden spray roses. People have used spray roses, spray roses, spray roses, but now with all the different varieties of garden sprays, it's amazing the color combinations, the beauty of each one of those that are in these bouquets. So we've used also some standard roses right here, the pink Mondale. They're a slower opener, but they are just beautiful. Again, long lasting, each one of these flowers. The lily opens slowly and has half the fragrance of your typical lily, but still has that wonderful, wonderful fragrance for saying, I love you. Any questions, Janet?
No,
Oh.
everybody's watching. Everything's been gorgeous so far. I love it.
Oh, okay. Ambition. Ambition. I guess we all have to have that ambition in us, not only for daily work, but again, going for the holiday. How fast are we going into it? How ambitious are we going to be with our thoughts, with our designs, where we're headed with it? But ambition was based off of the earth element, more natural. And when you look at nature itself and the color combinations that can be brought in for ambition, I want to be able to show you that it's really kind of that urban nature. When we look at urbanization and how things have sped up so much, we want some calmness. We want some natural things in our life. And so bringing in colors such as, and I want to say really neutrals, 2 different shades of green. And if you've noticed already, the major paint companies, they're really enforcing and have introduced the green palettes. If it's a soft mini green to the darker shades of green as the color of the year for 2026. So here we have basil and also moss green that I've chosen to do one of the designs in. And then when you look at the other palette and colors that are brought in for ambition, you have the colors here: wild rose, peachy, we have the burgundy coloration, and also a blue, the French blue, into this. So when you look at this coloration, would you turn the stand just a hair over to the large arrangement? There you go. Thank you so much, Elise. My cameraman, my side person. There's all the colorations in this larger piece back here. So I kept thinking, how am I going to do something that's more earthy feeling and give us that coloration palette, and maybe even throw in the blue on a smaller scale. Again, if somebody wants this large arrangement for Valentine's, no problem, we'll make it for them. But here I brought in the wooden container, the wooden box, so it's actually a square. And with this, you can tell the colors that are brought in. I was able to even capture this wild rose with the proteaceous material brought in. So the proteas have that wild rose color. We have mauve and then the orange peach rose here brought in with the standard freedom rose, which gives us our burgundy, which gives us the pink tone, our peachy tones brought into this design. Then once again, the butterfly ranunculus, one of my favorite little flowers to use, very long lasting and very abundant. But here you have the color palettes all brought into the design, and we get an inkling of the blue with the sea thistle or the eurangium brought in. So just a tiny touch of blue, and knowing when and where to stop with percentages of colors when you're doing combinations of this. So remember that too, the combinations. And I don't want to say, maybe sometimes we forget about the men for Valentine's, but have something available that might be a little bit more on the masculine side, because I know real men love flowers. I do. So what would Valentine's be without a heart? Well, it would be lonely. So how about Valentine's with two hearts? So this one I called ×2. If you can see, a heart shape was made with just 3 small hydrangeas, the green hydrangeas, to give that illusion of a heart. And then also at the top portion of this design, I created another heart using, and people have used, the yarn covered wire and spent a lot of labor doing that. I found this at one of the local wholesalers, and it is actually like a rope covered wire already. Bent it over a couple of times, made a couple of twists, brought it down, and it was so easy to weave in a little bit of the hanging succulent to it. Of course, this needs to have a little bit of water source, and then somebody could plant and root these. So this is that sustainable type of product I'm talking about. But also in the base of the container, I brought in a lot of texturing. And the texturing part, I have the trichelium in green, of course, the hypericum, a little bit, and it's kind of, hopefully you can see this in the front, some ginger, I want to say a florist staple at this point, the green trick. So it looks like it's mounded all on moss. And then to really top the ×2 heart off, I saw a whole vase of these in the back. They ordered succulents, and again, succulents are not as popular as they once were, but they're still available, and still, if you kind of ease them into arrangements, they're great. Instead of your heart pick, plastic heart pick, I've got natural wood with a natural product on a stem. So this makes that, I want to say, environmental friendliness to this design too. Also at the front of here, can you tell right up under the heart, I've tucked in some real ginger, not the ginger plant we're accustomed to, but ginger itself that has some, healing properties. It all means something. Everything that's placed in this design is environmentally friendly to a point. And the container too, selection. You want to make sure you create unity in your designs when you're doing the entire piece. So this particular container, I call this romantique, and it has a little bit of the rustic edge to the container, as you can tell. So romantique could be the big box, or you want to call this one 2 hearts or ×2. You're welcome to name them anything you want. But it's cool to come up with names, even in your design room, to have things. Of course, AI generated, once you have that name, oh my God, and you tell it what it is, it can come up with a whole descriptive term for it. So you can do that quite fast these days. It can get very descriptive. And again, you'll have to edit some things out, but natural greens, basil and moss. Think about lime green, the true color of lime. Also natural woods over dark stained woods. Think of English countryside, Tuscany. Don't think of farmhouse being shiplap anymore, but throughout the seasons and really based on Earth itself. So be ambitious and think, once again, outside that box and outside the triangle. On another hand, we want to look at using product in a way that could be, how can I say, longer term usage. When we look at longer term usage, and we want to look at the trend which is called ombre. And in ombre, it is a trend that is very, very dark, very sophisticated. And looking at that particular color palette, you want to see, here's the card itself. In the flip book, it has plums, it has everything. Ombre was based off of the space element. When you look at space, what does it have? Infinite possibilities. The key words there, infinite, but possibilities. Possibilities. That's what I'm at today in giving you this webinar, all the possibilities that there are in floral design. This is your imagination. Use it and be able to test it out. But with the colors I mentioned about being dark, and I want to say black, of course, one of the colors brought in. And when we were developing the colors, I think, white, gray, and black are achromatic. So this really isn't a color. So people, so we want to, again, consider black. We also want to consider fresh green into the mix. The fresh green is what's going to give us that pop to the darkness always when you're adding that green or vibrancy to the designs when you're designing. Gray or thicket. Thicket was a grayish, slatish color, which goes really well when you're looking at color palettes and color trends for even the 2026 season. We're seeing people go from truly black moldings, black doors, and moving over to thicket. They keep saying gray's out. No, it's not. It's the abuse of gray and that lighter shade. So consider this deeper gray called thicket and Design Master. You'll be able to see it. It's really beautiful. But the other colors, the actual deep blue and also the purple brought into play, or those key colors within this palette. They become dark. And when you're looking at, but so space. And so how do we give it a little bit of starlight? We want to inject gold metal to it. So we have that shimmer of the sky with a little bit star reflection to that. And then we want to also consider that pop of color that's brought in with the green. It's been a great color combination. I went out searching for even some purple ornaments this year for the holiday, and everybody sold out. I don't know if they had enough or people gravitated towards this color palette, but it's been very cool to have it be kind of simplistic and a star when we're looking at colors. So the next really plant design, I call it, is a Vanda orchid. Orchids have become a staple within the floral industry. I don't think people can get enough of, literally the white cymbidium or white phalaenopsis, all the different types of orchids. But I wanted to bring in something unique and a little bit different and bring you the Vanda orchid. And the staking of this particular Vanda orchid, you can tell I've brought in not only the thicket in the container itself, has that gray tone to it, the gold medallions on it, and then bringing in, the actual purple of that Vanda. Naturally, it's going to have a little bit of greenery, But there you can see the color palette brought up to life with the Vanda orchid and just some embellishments of the gold wire encircled into it. If you ask about mechanics for that, start now? No, but they were actually done with the Oasis wire, aluminum wire, in a simple coil. You can also use gold spool wire to even tie up your pieces over a leftover zip tie or any kind of tie ring. It makes a difference in detailing each and every one of your designs out. It gives you that little bit of elevated feeling instead of anybody has that someone actually crafted this and took time to go back in and add some detailing to the design. So detail is what I'm about. Someone told me years ago, don't ever put gray moss or the tillandsia, the Spanish moss, at the bottom of a plant because that grows in a tree. Well, guess where orchids grow? Basically, well, the greenhouse for us, but in trees, in tree setting. So the tillandsia I brought in because it works so well with the thicket and also gives me a little bit of softness around the edge of this particular container. And when you think about orchid plants and somebody receiving an orchid plant for Valentine's, it's how do you add on sales at Valentine's? Of course, there's the typical bear and balloon that people always add on or have that option to add on to your design work. So when I was thinking about this program and how to present this in different ways and trying to make people think, I thought, what perfect gift, and I would love to have one of these. It's a black container, puffs of that blue ribbon, a sphere done with bells of Ireland, but it has a special card on it. The special card says inside, I will receive an orchid plant for the next year once a month. So monthly gifting is important in our floral industry. And if you haven't tried it yet, do try it, but make it special. Don't just, here's a gift card, here's a gift certificate, okay, hope they use it, hope they don't, we'll make more money. But when you're looking at something that's already handcrafted, and it becomes even more special. So add it on. Here's my add-on to my orchid plant for Valentine's is monthly gifting. That recipient's going to get an orchid plant once a month for the next year. Great gift. Would love to have it myself. And that way you can vary the colors or vary different types of orchids. And that's about educating the public too, that there are other orchids available other than just a plain white Phalaenopsis orchid. So please take this into consideration start it today, start it at Christmas time. Here we are in the gift giving season. So maybe that monthly gift for someone can be just as exciting to have a sphere. And I did the sphere, of course, because of the theme, the ombre, the cosmic, the planets, and everything like that. But be creative and come up with your own. Again, you're welcome to use my ideas, no problem. So hope you have enjoyed ombre with those possibilities that are available in our floral industry to everything. When you are looking at the next trend, and
Can we jump in with a question?
Sure.
Yeah, we've got a great question. What's a good way to start shifting towards these new trends and concepts in a very outdated shop culture, with the follow-up of how to help customers start to accept that shift, as well as older fashioned designers, so old school designers who feel pigeonholed, I think, or see all things only as one way, one color, roundy moundy.
one of the things, I mean, again, I'm not showing a bunch of items today. I'm going to show one, but I'm not showing like a lot of items that are so left field that it's going to be so labor intensive. And that's where so many shops are concerned with. I think the lesson today is thinking of these color palettes and ways to put things together. Color-wise, number one, container choices they kind of dictate maybe the style or what's going into that design. But it's trying to elevate your design work and bring in these really strong color palettes. And I don't mean bright and crazy, but strong combinations, winning combinations of color palettes brought together is the first way to start in a very, and I don't want to say established traditional floral shop. It's so easy to do with again, get the flip book open. At the bottom of the website, you can print off the 6 colors per trend. Hand those out and tell people, here, pick one color or 2 colors that closely resemble. Any of those 6 colors work together if you do half and half or you do percentages. So I think that's one way to get started with someone that might be afraid of using color or trying to advance in the floral industry, is get the color going correctly, and you'll be happy and your customers will be happy.
Great, Keith, thanks. Yeah, I think that's a good point that you made, that you don't have to you're not using every color in every design like for the trend. You're picking and choosing 2 or 3 or whatever. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and I don't even want to say, when you look at something, I'll go back and go, that term, even though it's a paint color, peachy, how do you interpret peachy? It can be very, closely related, tints, tones, and shades. If it's going from bright orange to mid to almost those brown palettes, no problem. Combine those together. I feel like when something has more of a monochromatic feel to it, the value already is greater. And the customer too sees the value instead of things being dotted around an arrangement. That things are very cohesive and they've gotten their money's worth.
Great, thanks. All right, what have you got for us for Rejuvenate?
Rejuvenate. We need to rejuvenate once in a while, all of us, which Rejuvenate was based off of some interesting colors at the bottom, but also Rejuvenate was based off of water and the fluidity of not only the colors that kind of play off of each other from bright to light, dark to rich, shocking to pastel. And that's what I find so cool about using the trend colors in everyday applications. And also, I brought in this summer, I was in the grocery store and I was out shopping, and I so stumbled upon all these waters, sparkling waters, because I knew like Monster Drink had come out with a pink one. I knew, Starbucks came out with some different colors, and I'm naming names, but then I turned my head and I'm like, La Croix water section. I mean, it was like they took every color down here from Rejuvenate and boxed their product up with these colors. And sometimes it's all about timing. The actual, one of their senior managers was there overseeing one of the big installations in front of the store. And I stopped him and talked to him, and I showed him American Floral. I did the flip book and I went to it. The man was so excited about it. And would you please send me pictures of your designs and all that? That's what I'm talking about. It's out there for the consumer. It's for us to give the consumers what they've already seen or what they're seeing. And back to your question before, it's a given. It's out there. And because of the research and development that goes into the American Floral Trends, which I have to admit, with that, I have to thank the AIFD Foundation for research and development grant that we receive every 2 years in order to bring you this spot on, right on, validated color palettes in these 5 trends. But with this Rejuvenate one, I just want to say it can be bold, it can be shocking, and I think that's where, do you play with the reds? Do you play really well with, and I have to say, here we go, the fuchsia and also cranberry. And the fuchsia color here is called raspberry and cranberry. So one other thing to do is to kind of rename some things instead of fuchsia. So I'm going to do and this is a given for me already here, on their website, on their sales, everything that's possible. I thought, I'm combining these 2 colors. Just finished a holiday install in Nashville and used this color combination. And it is so striking and so impactful. And when I bring out this design, you'll see it. But I want to review some of the other colors that go with Rejuvenate. I mentioned about the perfect pink or softer pink, a coral color, and then we have lemon yellow brought together. So I'm going to use some of these in the last design that can be brought in. I'm going to negate, once again, a yellow palette out of it. And also I'm going to negate the blue right now. And this is to give you that observation of, yes, it's okay to use 2, it's okay to use 3, or it's okay to use 4 colors. Elise, can you hand me a couple of little things to start with? So the inspiration for this was actually to have that brighter color, the fuchsia color combination brought in, like this particular ribbon sourcing here. Bright on the side, raspberry and tone, and then we'll have the arrangement. Thank you. Now we're talking love and Valentine's. I named this one XOXO for love. And when you look at the palette, the combination, this is Gotcha Rose, which is that hot pink raspberry coloration, against the Freedom Rose, which is going to be our darker burgundy shading of rose. If you're wondering what this little flower is, it's another form of dianthus, and it is called Solomia. And it's just a beautiful shading of electricity that brings this whole design together. So look at the materials, very tight in nature, but this is going to be 18 roses, 9 and 9, 9 red, 9 of the Gotcha roses, along with a little bit of the dianthus or Solomia in it. XOXO, yes, I love this bouquet. Also, when you're looking at ribbon choices, and I showed you this particular ribbon, instead of your normal pick, I can raise this up a little bit so you can see what I tucked into it. It's not a bow just tied onto a vase, but I made 3 hearts. Again, if it's 2 hearts, tucked into the arrangement, everyone can see that. It's just a crimp. It's so simple into the ribbon and then placed into the design work. And then a few tails coming out. Ribbon plays an important part also in design as that accent piece, as the jewelry or as a necklace that goes into it. Again, to show you just an example of that, all I did was make the loop like this, bend it down. I crimped it. This is the wired ribbon, crimped it in the center, rounded the tops back out, and I have the perfect heart shape. And wired, you can just do it with wired ribbon over, once again, maybe some of the different types of picks people want to use. One ribbon is so simple in a design, over tying it all up with a bow. These can be done ahead of time and then just use as your pick into that design. Now, on a grander scale, we wanted to keep in the color palette, but also bring in floral materials that play an integral role in keeping with the Rejuvenate palette. So I kept in the raspberry tone to the arrangement. I brought in a little bit of the coral palette to this design, and also a little bit of the perfect pink into this particular design. It's put into a large silver trumpet vase, the aluminum vase. It does have a liner in there to protect the oxidization of water and aluminum together. But beautiful combination, again, garden, spray roses, a little bit of the peonies, but peonies might not be available except for high dollar money in February, but they're beautiful right now, so I just had to use them. For fragrance, I get the lilies into the design, some beautiful Japanese ranunculus, and then the standard branch type of ranunculus used in the design. Has anybody wondered what's in the top of this design? It is a crane, and we've done butterflies, bees, dragonflies. What else can you think of? We've tucked into an arrangement. So when I was doing this Christmas install, I had a guy making florets for me, and then all of a sudden he started folding origami cranes, and I thought, super nice. As a kid, I would do the origami. And when you think about special touches or special things that go into design work, I just placed one flying above. You could have two in an arrangement, but you have to think about the meaning of the crane and how it relates to just really eternal love is the symbolism of it. Peace, of course, and the joy that love brings to people. So the crane has a lot of Japanese symbols to it. Once again, this is handcrafted, and you can buy these quote unquote pre-made, but this particular one we'll be making because it is in the waterproof paper. A lot of people say it's Korean paper, but it is that waterproof paper. So if you are doing specialty touches like the ribbons or the crane that goes in your design, make sure you have the right materials for longevity in your design work. And last up, I hope I was able to spread inspiration throughout this past hour for you. Little tips, little marketing tips, little mechanics tips, but you can see color is so important in our industry. To be able to combine those great colors together, to think outside that box and think of the possibilities that can happen during Valentine's. I stress that you keep your SKUs low, meaning your choices. Of course, we're going to have your basic dozen roses, basic this, basic things that people and consumers will purchase. But you want to give them that the wows in design that people are going to remember you by. And just as an example, I had this piece made a few years back, and then I remade it, and every program I want to do something like it. With the trend consultants, I have people like Laura Dowling that I just finished working with. We have Hitomi Gilliam, and she does a lot of this work. So the American Floral Trends is not just based on one sole eye. It's based off of this collaboration of incredible designers and also our industry leaders like Accent Decor, Oasis, Donna Stevens, the design master with her colors. And so I just want to leave you with a little bit of a piece that was inspired and how to incorporate maybe flowers to wear for the holidays. It's also important about going to parties, not only for Valentine's, but with Valentine's being on what, the Saturday this year, we're looking at people maybe going to dinner. So even suggest smaller things, or what is she wearing? Not a wrist corsage, I hope, anymore, but flowers to wear. More jewelry, more handcrafted items. So we get that feeling, once again, it is special. Each customer is special, and each flower has its own personality, I say. So be kind to your materials, be thoughtful of your colors that are being put together. And again, value-wise too. We are worth something as designers, as florists, and make sure you are charging for that value and insight, the artistry that goes into it, the thought process that goes into it, and your knowledge now of colors, brought to you by not only FTD over the, I want to say, the last 3 decades that I've been with FTD, but also with the continuation of FTD's support with these webinars and other webinars and programs that can be found on FTD University. And looking forward to 2026 as the new year and a new beginning and a successful Valentine's to each and every one of you.
All right, thanks, Keith. That was incredible. I love everything. You can just have that all delivered to my house. Thanks for sharing everything. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're open for any final questions. We only had a couple. I know there was a lot of great inspiration there. So if you've got a question, type it in the question box in your control panel. I also want to mention that Keith will be taking some close-up photos that we will share on social media in December. So if you follow Mercury Network on Facebook and Instagram, you'll be able to see those. And I don't see any questions.
Looking through the questions, Janet, for people that have known me, maybe a short time or over the period of time, I love chocolates. And I just wanted to like, this is so special. If you're sending chocolates, make sure you want to check out to maybe some of your artisan chocolate people that are around. Breen's is very fortunate. There's one literally down the way from here, and they do the most incredible chocolates. So if you're adding chocolates to a thing, make sure that there could be, and I keep using the word elevated, a little bit nicer than your normal chocolate. I'm fine with a Hershey bar, but I'm so much happier with these when I'm presented with a box of artisan chocolates. So again, keep that in mind when you're, again, fine-tuning your designs, your add-ons, your website, and your offerings to that consumer. They're coming to you for something and specialized.
All right, thank you. Yeah, no more questions. So we just want to thank everyone for joining us. A recording will be available on demand on the FTD Mercury Network Florist YouTube channel. And as Keith mentioned, for more education programming from FTD, please visit ftdi.com to register for upcoming free webinars and design shows and to view all of these past education programs on demand. Thank you, everyone.